On this episode of the Violent Professional Podcast, I sit down with Noel Brand, former Royal Netherlands Marine and co-owner of a strength and conditioning facility known as Breda SC. We talk about what it was like for him being in the Royal Netherlands Marines and deploying to Afghanistan, as well as his transition from the Royal Netherlands Marines to a full-time business owner. If you like this episode, please leave a comment below after the episode is over.
This is the Violent Professional Podcast brought to you by AriesClothing.com.
So how's it going?
It's going, dude. I'm things are super busy right now, so it's a little bit challenging, especially with like the expansion we're doing to get everything lined up. So it's just kind of like balls to the wall right now. You know that with business, it's fucking nuts. I'm sure it's the same out there.
You're sleeping not too much, and you're working way too much.
Yep. I wanted to bring you on, and like the first thing I want to talk about to set the whole episode up is how we met was over. It's kind of like we met on Instagram through DMs, and we started talking and developed a relationship over a little bit of time. Because for one, you support us and are like a fan of the climb team in Aries. And you support us in like you've purchased stuff from us before. And then on top of that, what I thought was the most impactful is that you sent us a hat in response to, like just your support in general. So that was super awesome. And since that moment that we received it, I think that's where we really started hitting it off and talking over social media.
Yeah, man, it's true. I ordered a Aries climb team hat, one of the OG ones that I don't see anymore, but I'm glad I got one. It's good quality. And
there's not that many of them, like we only made a few of them, and I think it was like 10 or 20 that we had. And so you've got like one of the limited edition climb team hats. But people keep asking for that specific one back.
I love that one. I wear it like second or third day, whatever of the week. I wear a lot of hats, and but it's definitely one of my favorites. And so I ordered one, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a great hat. Let me just send something back," And I think quality is important. So it was basically like, "Hey, you guys have a cool hat. Let me send you one of mine. It's my only, my gym's, my strength and conditioning gym's hat. Here you go. Enjoy."
Yeah, and that thing's awesome.
I sent you a couple of stickers, and I think I also sent you like a little something extra in there. It was a little square. And I think it was a condom.
Yeah, it might have been a condom.
Like,
that thing is still there because we don't use condoms.
Actually, when I had those made, it was for our 6-year anniversary of Breda Strength and Conditioning, our gym, where I'm the co-founder of. We had every Friday we have a workout. It's called Fuck You Friday or FYF.
That's like the Jim Jones stuff. Because I know you're certified in that.
Thing. Yeah. So for our 5-year anniversary, we had like condoms made, just like the wrapper is printed, and it just says FYF. But it's a regular condom in there. But when I ordered it, I was like, and we were like planning the whole thing. I was like, I want a extra large or Chuck Norris size, glow in the dark, ribbed, for anal use only. Just something that is like totally out there. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What the fuck? These guys are some sick puppies.
Am I supposed to wear this while I work out? Like, I don't understand what's going on.
Oh, no, actually, especially for other people that are also a medic, you have like an NPA that goes up your nose.
Yeah.
You have like a certain gel that comes with it, which is kind of like numbing, and it lubricates. Well, I'm like, well, can I have that, with the condom, please? Because that would be great. But apparently, you can't order those. So
is it all dry or something? When you put it on, it's like just put in a plastic bag or something?
So anyway, I sent you that, and you guys came through. I love the stuff you put out. I love the way you guys at Aries work your magic. And yeah, man, just send something back. Enjoy.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So
I'm talking about the cap.
Yeah. So we ever since then we developed that relationship and started talking, and just haven't stopped. So now you're on our podcast, which is super dope because I think like one of the reasons I want to get you on is your history in the military, because we get so focused over in the United States about, the United States military, but I know there's a ton of people like Your photo for that I just posted for your episode like had a pretty decent response. So I know there's like, people are interested in foreign militaries from the United States, and I think we just focus so much on ourselves being being America and egotistical. It'd be very interesting for people that listen to this to get a perspective and from somebody that was in the Marines overseas from us. So if you could, I wanted to like get, like your impression of what it was like being in the Marines.
So yeah, I've been in the Royal Netherlands Marine Corps for about 14 years, and just about a shade under 14 years. And I just recently got out of the Royal Netherlands Marine Corps. We've been around since December 1665, which is, I think, the second oldest Marine Corps in the world. I think the Royal Marines of the United Kingdom, or the British Marines, are a year older. They're from 1664. And but our Marine Corps, the Netherlands Marine Corps, has been around since 1665. It's not too big of a Marine Corps. It's only like 3,500 Marines. But then again, our country is only like 16 million people.
Yeah.
Only has like 16 million people. I've been in the Marine Corps for 14 years, and I've been in the infantry. I've been with the 23rd Airborne Marines. I was a medic special forces there. I'm not a special forces a Marine, but that's the name of the course. So you have your combat lifesaver, then you have your PTLS, which is your platoon trauma lifesaver, I believe, and then you have your medic special forces. I'm just a regular airborne Marine, but that's just what it was called. I served with the 23rd Airborne Marines for the biggest part of my time in the Marine Corps. And I've been deployed to Afghanistan from November 2009 to March 2010. It was out of Tarankot. We flew from Kandahar Airfield to Tarankot, which is in Uruzgan province.
Yep.
And then from there, we went to Kap Tabar, which is slightly north of TK or Tarankot. And we worked out of Combat Outpost Tabar, which is about, in miles, I would say like 5 to 6 miles north of TK. We also worked, and I want to mention this, we worked with the 82nd Airborne on a number of times on combat patrols, foot patrols in that area. And I still talk to those guys pretty regularly.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's I'm sure, just based on where you were saying, that, like, I know those places. I know there's a lot of people that deployed to those areas as well from the United States, so that people listening to this will can relate to. So what were those areas like for you? Was it pretty heavy in combat, or was a lot of foot patrols? Like, what did you do on a day-to-day basis while you were serving over there?
I did a lot of foot patrols because how it works with us for the Royal Netherlands Marine Corps or the Dutch Marine Corps, whatever you want to call it. We are a small part of a bigger Navy, so we don't have a different branch specifically for Marine Corps. We're the infantry of the Navy, and we fall under the Navy. So if we want nurses or Navy nurses or stuff like that, they will usually send a female with us on patrol. And I know there are a lot of badass females out there, so don't get me wrong, but the girls and the women that joined the Navy were never, planning usually on being on foot patrols in Afghanistan with the Marines. And we got a couple of badass women along with us, but also we had some less stellar females with us. So they basically had a lot of use for medics. We are Marines, so shooters first, infantrymen first, riflemen first, and then they teach us how to, hand out band-aids and stick needles in people and apply tourniquets and morphine and stuff like that. So that was basically what I did mostly. A lot of foot patrols because not every time the Navy nurse would be able, physically able to come out on a patrol again. So usually it was me who went on double patrol duty, so to speak, foot patrols. We did a lot of work in the Darashan area, and we tried to establish like a bigger footprint for the coalition and trained with A&P or went on patrols with A&P in the 82nd Airborne just to stabilize the area, that region just south, well, a bit south of the Chora Valley.
Did you have any opportunities to like cross train with any of the medics from the United States? Did you spend much time with them other than on the patrols, working like some trading of knowledge or anything like that?
Well, I did, and the medic that like the most experienced medic, well, I think he was one of the most experienced medics with the 82nd Airborne. He and I, we're still friends. We talk. I think it's been a couple of years already, but him and me, Thad, we still talk. He's from Oklahoma, and every once in a while we'll send each other like a message. How's it going? And what are you up to? So we not only trained together and went on patrols together, but we became friends too.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's definitely a little different. There's a difference between how the U.S. Army and the Dutch Marine Corps, the Netherlands Marine Corps operate, and also gear-wise. We had some longer rifles that we took with us, and they all had M4s.
Yeah.
But also, like the Humvees and the vehicles we had, but also like the kit for the medics. Although we use the same principles, obviously they have some products that we don't have, and vice versa. So we switched a lot gear, or we looked at each other's gear and tried to help and teach and coach each other in becoming a better medic. Just outside of our TK or our camp, they had like a U.S. camp specifically just for Americans, which had some SF guys there too. And it was a multinational base, so we saw a lot of different people, but we just happened to be with the 82nd Airborne a lot, and that's fine by me. I mean, great guys, and they definitely made my deployment more memorable. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. The other founder of Aries was a 82nd dude, infantryman.
Come again? He was what?
He was an infantryman in the 82nd when he was in the military, and then came over to Washington. What in terms of the Marines from your perspective, because obviously similar, different services, different country. What was from your experience? What was like one of your most favorite things about being in the Marines in the Netherlands, and your least favorite part of it? If you could talk about that.
I would say my favorite part would be my deployment. It was the crown on my military career.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this on a different podcast. Not everybody is, air quotes, lucky enough to go on deployment. And just imagine your Marine Corps being 3,500 people, if it's completely filled. And it's not currently. We have a problem with Marines staying because they're moving the military base, and everybody's like, I don't want to move to that part of the country. Fuck it. I'm leaving.
So you have an option to do that over there?
Corps, come again?
You have an option to either quit or separate if you want at any specific time?
It depends on when you sign. So if you sign for like 6 years or 4 years and that time is up, then you can add, like re-up and you can join again or re-enlist, But at a certain part, they're like, well, you're an NCO. I was an NCO as a corporal. So they're like, well, you can stay longer if you want to. And then and in a certain time, you get like a 3-month, you give like a 3-month notice, like, hey, I'm leaving the Marine Corps.
It's like the same for us.
You can if you get everything squared away. So anyway, you're coming back to your question. Not everybody's lucky enough to go on deployment, but I was lucky enough to go on deployment, and I would say that was it was the best of times and it was the worst of times, but I miss those times. That was for all the marbles, not to be sound all cliche and stuff like that, but I wanted to do this, and I know you're JTAC or used to be JTAC, whatever, that's your specialty, that's what you did. Well, I love being a medic SF, and I love, that specialty, and I wanted to be really good at it because, you only get one chance when there's like a casualty, and there's only a couple of ways how you can do it the right way, and there's a ton of ways to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And you don't want to fuck up with same with the J. Oh, let me just drop this bomb just slightly to the left.
Yeah,
Nope.
exactly.
Nope. So I'd say my best time in the Marine Corps was my deployment to Afghanistan. And I know that sounds weird, and some people might be like, "What the fuck?" But for me, it was, and I sometimes I miss it, but that time's passed, and
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
glad.
the same thing that our guys go through is they miss it. It's like this love-hate relationship. You want to go over there when you're here, but then when you're there, it's like, fuck, I want to go home, but you still want to do the mission and you still want to, but there's still, you miss home and all that stuff, but then when you're here, you're like, fuck, that was a good time and I wanted to leave it at the time, but it's one of my best memories, like some of my best memories and some of the most growth I've had in my life in general. And who I am today are directly because of my time in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's for people who've been there, they can't explain, and for people that never been there, they'll never understand, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
fine because it's something personal to you, to me. You and I could have been on the same team doing the same deployment, but you could have taken away other things than I or than me or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It's different. So, but then the worst experience was probably being an NCO and then working with people that were really micromanaging, which
Oh
was
man.
really frustrating. And would just, I'm like, well, you talked about leadership and extreme ownership, the book. I actually gifted to one of my senior NCOs. I gifted that book. Just didn't put a lot of pressure behind it. Hey, you should read this. Perhaps you can pick something up. But I gifted the book, and I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm very sure that book is still in the wrapper,
I never
not
fucking read
being read,
it.
unfortunately. But that was definitely something I was like that sped up the process of me wanting to leave the Marine Corps to do something else.
Yeah, dude, it's that. I mean, that's the same stuff we deal with over here. I think in anywhere, any work center, any type of thing in the military or whatever, you're going to have these people, so-called leaders, that are not really living up to that standard, as we talked about on the one episode with JR. It's a hard thing,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, everybody tries their best to be, to be a professional, to be a good leader, etc. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm like the God's gift to leadership or whatever. I'm just, I know what I know, and I know what I suck at and what I need to work on, and then I try and work on that and become a better person, to be a better leader or a better coach or whatever,
Yeah.
But if someone would try and help me, I would be open to their tips and oh, maybe I can work on this or work on that. But if you're like kind of closed-minded and you are very sensitive to receiving criticism, even positive form of criticism, that's kind of tough.
Yeah. Being humble enough to accept that we all have faults and weaknesses and stuff. And if we can work, like you may be good at something, but if you're horrible at something, and having the self-awareness to, and you're humble enough to accept those criticisms and then work on that shit so that you're a better human being in general that's hard for
Yeah,
people.
I put a lot of stock in all those stoic kind of sayings or books. There's like a great book is called The Daily Stoic. I
Yep.
have it on a hardcover and an ebook. I just love that book. If I'm like, just really put your mind right. And I think a lot of people, well, for me anyway, it can be very beneficial. So Extreme Ownership, the book that I just mentioned, and the Stoic Daily, those are two of my favorite books. And I think that Extreme Ownership, leadership, and the mindset of, you always have to work on something and it will never be perfect. But, just a whole mindset of stoicism, I really liked it. And for me, it really helped. And, just set my mind right to leave the military, to to now, lead or coach other people within my gym or strength and conditioning gym. And I know it sounds weird, lead other people or whatever, but yeah, that's kind of how I see it. You can't coach other people if you can't coach yourself, or you can't lead other people if you can't, kind of lead or manage yourself.
Yeah, I don't think that sounds weird at all, man. I think you're right on with it. But we're talking about the gym a little bit, and I think we talked about it in the beginning of the conversation. But yeah, would you like to talk about your gym and how like you transitioned from being a service member and how you became passionate about fitness and then moving on to starting a gym? Was that something that you started like before you got out and then transitioned into it? Or I mean, obviously you got out 5 weeks ago, so you had it before, but how did you
Yeah.
become passionate about all that stuff in fitness and then go to where you are today?
So I co-own a gym. I'm the co-founder and co-owner. Breda Strength and Conditioning is a gym in a bigger city in the south of the Netherlands. While I was on, just when I stopped doing triathlon at a pretty decent level, I raced the World Championship half Ironman twice. So the World Championship of the half Ironman, not the full Ironman. I raced that twice, and when I was racing it for the second year, I found out about kettlebells, and this was in '07. So it was a while back. And I found out that strength training for my triathlon races was very beneficial. And I like kettlebells, so I got into kettlebells, and I even took a kettlebell with me on field exercises. If we were like in Germany or in England or on a boat, or sorry, Navy people, on a ship. It fucking floats. It's a fucking boat. I don't care. Whatever. So I took the kettlebell with me and I started training. And even on deployment, I took like a kettlebell with me and I just started working out with it. And when I got back, I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. And I heard about CrossFit, stuff like that. And I really got into that. But I found that CrossFit can be very positive in getting people off the couch and involved with training, body weight stuff, perhaps some Olympic lifts if you're at the level proficient enough to start doing that, or like just a power, just a squat, bench, and deadlift, just powerlifting moves, stuff like that. But I got into that, and then I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I did a couple of certs with CrossFit. I did about 6, but still I had, after each seminar, and one was really good. It was it's currently called Power Athlete, but back then it was CrossFit Football. And I went to that seminar. I was like, wow, this is more than just regular CrossFit stuff. And they were talking about strength and conditioning. Well, I know in the States, with the high school or the university teams, they have like strength and conditioning, but they didn't really have it very well. It's not very well known in the Netherlands. So they dropped strength and conditioning terms on me a couple of times during the seminars, and I was like, I should see what this is all about, what strength and conditioning is all about, and what it can add to my toolkit. So I started looking around, and meanwhile, I was like, people were like getting excited about training in the whatever you want to call it, functional fitness, squat, bench, deadlift, body weight, kettlebell kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Well, maybe I should just rent a place along with the other guy that I founded Breda Strength and Conditioning with. And it just started rolling. I started doing that while I was in the Marine Corps, and it just grew from there. We grew out of our first space real quick, and we're currently at 120 members, doing very well. The youngest person here training is 17, and the oldest is almost 68, and that's my mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my fiance trains my mom, and my fiance Sana, who is the only female in Europe who is a Jim Jones fully certified instructor. She has her own program called Strong Women, and she coaches them. I have my own program within the gym called Defense Training Schedule. There's a Dutch term for it, but I'm not going to bother you with it. And I help prepare military hopefuls for Army SF, Army Air Assault, Marine Corps Special Forces, and Yeah, we just try and help. I try and help military hopefuls earn their beret and their stripe, and then we have our quote unquote regular people who just want to look good naked and
Yep.
lift some weights and
Yep.
move well and stay injury free and stuff like that. And that basically just grew. And like we mentioned before, you need to keep improving if it's on your coaching or your knowledge or your coaching skills, or something maybe not even in the strength and conditioning realm, but you have to keep developing your business or whatever. Um, and that's how we grew. We grew every year, and eventually it got to a good point where I was kind of like comfortable going like, okay, Marine Corps, I'm giving you my 1 year notice, and you can do that depending on what kind of contract you have. You can go like, okay, in 12 months, I'm gonna go be out of the Marine Corps, and they'll let you take leave so you can study and stuff like that. And so I did. I gave him my 12 months notice, and I had a little budget that I built up in 14 years of serving. And they were like, okay, so where do you want to spend it? And I said, if there's one course I still want to do, it's Jim Jones, and I want to go to Salt Lake City and spend all of my money there.
Oh, that's awesome. So the military, in a sense, paid for you to go to Jim Jones.
Yeah, so
That is
I
super
think,
awesome.
yeah, I'm very grateful for that. So I think that I personally spend with all the courses I did. So after the 6 CrossFit courses I did, I think I did close to up to 20. So maybe until at that point, 20 other kind of courses and seminars and kind of forms of education on strength and conditioning and movement and, programming and stuff like that. And then I had a few, and then they were like, okay, so you have this budget. What do you want to spend it on? I'm like, well, I'd like to go to Jim Jones. I never had the time or the financial means to, pay for it, because it's not expensive, but it's not cheap, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So it's well worth the money. And I took a year. For myself, I said in 12 months, I'm going to get out of the Marine Corps. Before I get out, I want to be a fully certified Jim Jones instructor. And so so Sana and I, my fiance and I, we went to Salt Lake City and both got fully certified.
That is awesome, dude. That's a great story. Like to hear your transition from the Marines to now you're living the way you wanted to, and you had the military help you along the way as you were transitioning
Yeah,
out. So what do you
yeah,
see for the next year as you follow this path? Now you've separated very recently, and so where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what's the future hold for you, man?
yeah. It is. Well, like you mentioned in a former podcast, well, actually the last podcast when you answered, well, actually my question, it is, it's on to you to kind of like plot out a course and then go for it, and then to stay that course or go for that goal. So for us now, we're trying to look if we can find a bigger space because we are growing, and that's positive, obviously. But we want to. I think quality is very important, and I think quality should people always will pay and are attracted to quality. If something is worth, if it's a good quality, you want to go there or you want to buy that product. So our mission statement is we have a mission statement with Breda Strength and Conditioning, and one of the things we hold very high is quality. I think that's very important.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we always want, so for the next year, I want to deliver quality. Every time people are in the gym, I want them to have the best hour of their day. And that could be, maybe not go full intensity, but I want them to get better. It could be they need to put the emphasis on their breathing or whatever. So I want to deliver quality this year, next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. And if it's in coaching or programming or service or the way the gym is set up, the gear or the materials we use, I think that's important. We're looking to move, and obviously when we're moving, when we're expanding, I want a good quality material that we use for our workouts or our training. But I also want, like good shirts or whatever. So always trying to improve our products, our service, our classes. And I would like to. We're coaching the very first Jim Jones fundamentals very shortly this month, end of this month. And in the Netherlands, we're going to be the first one hosting it, the Jim Jones fundamentals. And so I'd like to do more seminars with Jim Jones, maybe our own kind of seminars, which we have done before, and just really try and build a better group of people here who move well, who have energy, are not susceptible to injury, stuff like that, who perform well. And the thing is, you can't rush quality. It's like you can't get an 18-year-old whiskey in 2 years. You can't get that. Well, I certainly hope it won't take 18 years for us to reach a certain level of quality, but you kind of get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
you can't
yep.
rush things that way.
Yeah.
So obviously we have like, to get there, we have like our mission statement, and I'm kind of reading it off my phone. Let me just loosely translate it in English, and please bear with me, people, because all the English I've learned is from Saturday morning cartoons when I was a little kid. So our mission statement is, at Breda Strength and Conditioning, we make people physically and mentally stronger. Our training, our workouts are simple, but they're not easy. We use minimal tools to gain maximal results. We put the emphasis on quality, technique, working hard, and helping each other. Every time that our members are in the gym, we want to give them the best kind of training every time. It doesn't matter to us what your 100% effort is, but give us your 100% effort. And with that mission statement, that's kind of our foundation. And from there, we want to, branch out in a year, 2 years, 4 or 5 years, whatever.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Like, it seems like you, like, with the quality and everything, you were into creating value in your company, which is something I'm super passionate about. Like, there's more to just starting a company. As you know, like we've talked about this before, entrepreneur life is an all day thing every day of the week. And what you've done through your transition and then creating Breda Strength and Conditioning is awesome. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck it's not luck really. It's like you put in the hard work and you're going to get where you want to go, But I hope all the best for you, man. It seems like you've got something really good going for you. As I looked at your social media and, you as a person in general, just talking to you is awesome.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you saying that. It's like what you said about, quality, or what I said about quality. Everybody does his or her own thing. I'm just glad I got the chance to now get out of the Marine Corps and do this. And I'm not going to be like, oh, it's so difficult, but it's not certainly isn't easy. But if you love what you do, and I think if you try and create something valuable or try and deliver quality, I just want to do that. I don't want to under deliver. I'm not here to just, people who come in here are not just walking wallets. And it's like, hey, give me your money.
Yep. That's a huge thing that I talk about. There's a lot of companies, especially in the United States, which is capitalist, right? So it's like there's a lot of companies out there in my industry, in your industry, like all different kinds of industries where people try to just make as much money as possible before they tank out. And so creating a long-lasting business or a corporation or something like that is hugely important if you want to be around for a while, having value, having a foundation, having all that good stuff that creates a solid company that's long-lasting is important,
Yeah, I hear you, my man. Yeah, and I mean, I can talk about this all day. I can talk about programming and training and stuff like that all day. I mean, I certainly hope she's definitely compared to the fucking 160th pilot who was a ranger. That's like, I'm like rain on somebody's parade, because everybody's like, yeah, those podcasts are the fucking kitties titties. And then I come in, I'm like, it's a fucking Dutch guy talking about how he left the Marine Corps.
But now people are interested in this shit. I know, like, there's some apprehension, but like people are definitely will be interested in hearing from you about what we're talking about. And you can't compare, because like I know it's kind of like a thing where it's like, oh, this dude from the 160th, and I get it all the time. People are like, well, I'm nothing special. It's like, no, we're all special. We all did something. We all served. Like, you answered the call to defend your nation and the entire world in this time of crisis. But we all have a story to tell about this. It doesn't matter if you were special operations or not or whatever. But that dude is a unique guy that you can only get stories from him when we're drinking at like Applebee's in the United States or something like that, because he can't.
Yeah.
His job was so fucking sensitive. He can't talk about anything. And so like the fact that he was able to tell that story is interesting, because it was written in a book by some dude that got in trouble for writing it. So he was like, "Fuck it, I'll tell that story." So. But yeah, man, I wouldn't think of that way. Everybody,
anyway, so might as well.
Yeah. People are interested in. I'm sure they'll be interested in.
Too at Jim. Oh, I'm sorry, my man.
Oh, I was saying, like, people will be interested in this podcast too. We'll have some good reviews, and people will love to hear from you.
I'm excited. I was excited to be on, and it's an honor to be on. What you guys do. I support what you guys do, and I think quality is something that you can recognize. And if somebody's passionate about something, you recognize that as well. Obviously, you and I, we were like sliding into each other's DMs all the time.
Sliding in there.
But it's sliding right in there. Hey, girl.
No lube, just straight.
Yeah, you were drinking. You were like already like 6 beers deep. And you're like, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, sure.
I don't think I was drunk when I said that. Maybe, I don't know. Can never tell these days.
No, you're a medic, right? Does this look infected or no?
I know you're in a different country, but can you give me an IV? I'm seriously dehydrated.
Oh, well, I think some things never changed. I remember when I was in doing like the medics course, and I shit you not, there were some drunk SF guys walking back and forth, bleeding, trying to stab each other with a needle, to give each other an IV. Like, hey,
standard.
I don't want to get hung over. Give me an IV already.
That's fine.
So most of the stereotypes are true.
Yep. Well, anyway, man, it was really awesome to have you on. I would love to get you on again and talk about your perspective on fitness, dive more into your company and business in general, because obviously that's what I'm huge on. That's why we do the podcast, because the side part is we want to talk about business and transition. That's really what the focus of this whole thing is cool stories, yeah, but transition out of the service is what, like everybody has to face eventually. So we'd love to give you a little bit more time and then get you back on and talk about business.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Definitely would be my pleasure to be on your podcast again. Definitely, man.
What else would you like to say? You've got a Instagram page and a Facebook, or do you just have an Instagram? Where can people find you at on there?
Well, first of all, for anybody who listens to this, so all 2 people that are listening to my podcast, my part of the podcast.
It's a few more than that.
If you're ever in the Netherlands, just go to the website Bravo Romeo Echo Delta Alpha SharaCharlie.com, so BredaSC.com, and just send me an email or go through the website and ask, hey, so Mike from Aries told me to come on by and get a workout in. You just send me an email. You're more than welcome to come by. We have BredaSC.com. Obviously, we're on Instagram, Breda.sc. And my own is Brand.sc. And SC stands for strength and conditioning, obviously. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Follow me on Tinder. Oh, no, wait.
Oh, man.
I'm about to get married.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You got to randomly run into you. I think you're probably on Grindr or something like that.
That's how we met, wasn't it? We were like interested in men. I'm like, hey, that kind of guy looks kind of good.
We found each other on Grindr.
It's a
weird.
Match.
It was like 6,000 miles away.
Yeah. Don't act all coy with me.
Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, man, if anybody wants to swing by in the Netherlands, we got good beers and other stuff too. But and a good strength and conditioning gym. They can find me in Breda.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll talk to you next time. Appreciate you coming on.